All right, so we have the one splash element in place. Now we're going to go ahead and add the foreground splash elements using the same splash image. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and bring back up the original of the splash image where we extracted the element. I'm just going to go ahead and re-drag and drop it over once again. So I'm just going to go ahead and hold down the Shift key, grab the splash element, once again drag and drop it over, and there we go. Now, it landed, of course, behind the can because the other splash element was the last one selected. So let's go ahead and grab the new splash element layer and drag it above the can layer here in the Layers panel. Now I'm going to press Command or Control T again to activate Free Transform. Also Command or Control 0, expand the document so I can see the transform box here. I'm going to start by scaling it down a little bit. So I'm going to hold down Shift and Option and grab a corner handle here. Let's just scale the splash element down a little bit. And let's position it right down here. And I'm actually going to rotate it a little bit. And you'll notice, as you look at the splash, you'll see that the movement of the water right in this area here, let me get a little bit closer. So right around here, you'll see that can play nicely into the side of the can here. So I'm going to position this right here and put that splash element. Let's actually put that a little bit further out like that. There we go. Again, I'm just using my free transform, just positioning my cursor right outside and then positioning it right on the edge there. And let's just kind of scale this in just a little bit more. And I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and press Enter on that. And we've got that one element in place. Now, for the other side, I'm going to go ahead and use this same splash image. Just press Command or Control J, makes a duplicate of that splash element. And it's going to go grab the Move tool and move it over to the other side here. But we're going to go into the Edit menu, go down here to Transform, and choose Flip Horizontal. You'll see there's the element now in a horizontal, or it's been flipped horizontally, kind of mirrored it. But now I'm going to rotate this one a little bit more this way, and then bring that down a little bit more. And by doing that, we are getting a variation of the splash. We're actually seeing the splash elements from several different sides. But because it's so chaotic and abstract, it's blending in a way that we cannot tell that it is, in fact, the same splash image. You can see right there. So I'm just going to tweak the positioning of this other element here, just kind of nudge that up a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good. Now, I'm going to go in here and use that same trick with the smudge tool. Again, let's go ahead and get that smudge tool selected. And I'll go over in here and let's select this splash element here, which is one on the left side here. And it's going to start nudging parts of the water, especially elements that are kind of right in front of the can here, or kind of looks like they're hitting the bottom of the can here. And by doing that, again, you're giving that water a sense of motion, like the splash has created this kind of really chaotic movement of the water, and it's really kind of interacting. It's helping it to sell the overall effect here. Let's move outside a little bit, maybe give some of these little water drops a little bit of a push. Using the smudge tool. It's a very simple effect using the smudge tool with that very low setting. Or again, remember, we're keeping the strength at around 10%. I'm going to select the other splash layer here, and let's do the same thing. Let's just kind of give it some blur here at the bottom where the splash is kind of coming up. And we'll just kind of give some of these other elements a little push there. Just gives you that little sense of movement that you would expect to see. Just sells the environment and the overall scene a little bit better. And let's just go ahead and position that down just a little bit more, I think. And don't be afraid to experiment with different angles and different splash elements. Just try different things and until you find something that you really like. And nope, I think I'm going to nudge that one over just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. And that's the thing about abstract elements, is that when you're having them interact with a certain element in your design, you're going to have to try different things and try different angles, flip them up and down, left to right, just to see what's going to work. And you're bound to stumble on something that'll work for you. And I think that looks pretty good there. Now, one more thing I want to do to these splash elements is give them a little sense of the glow of the light in the scene here. And we're going to do that with a simple layer style. Here's a cool little trick to do. I'm going to go ahead and select the topmost layer here, which is this element on the splash element here on the right. And I'll double click on the layer and open up the layer styles panel. And go over here and activate outer glow. Now, remember the settings I have before. You'll notice I've got kind of a light blue color here, and you'll see there's the numbers that make up that blue color. Blend mode is set to screen with the opacity at 40%. And down here I've got the size at 5 pixels. Now, if I turn this layer style on and off, you'll notice the difference it makes. It puts a little bit of an enhanced blue glow on the water splash there. It really helps add something to the scene there. So go ahead and click OK. Now, again, it only added it to that one splash element. So I'm going to go over here into the Layers panel, and we have the other splash elements here. In fact, let's go ahead and rename these. This is Splash Right. Just below that is the Splash Left. There we go. And then down here is the one behind it. So we'll call this Splash Behind. Or just back. There we go. So now I want to add this layer style to the remaining splash layers. And do that quickly and easily. Just hold down the Option key on Mac or Alt on Windows. Grab the FX icon here in that layer and just drag it to the target layer, which is the splash layer below. And it goes ahead and copies and pastes that layer style in one step. I'm going to do it to the background layer as well, the background splash as well. So again, hold down the Option key, drag the FX icon to the layer, and there you go. So there is our splash elements in place, and I'm going to go ahead and tweak the positioning up here a little bit of that one. Now, you might see some elements. Notice there are some splash elements that are in front of the text here. That's not a problem, but if you don't want to mask it out, you can go ahead and just blur those elements a little bit more to help it blend into the scene, and you can see the text on the can a little bit better. I think that works really well. There we go. All right. So now with our splash elements in place, now we're going to start adding some other atmospheric elements that are kind of be emanating from this effect. When the can falls in the water and generates a splash, it's going to generate more mist and more particle elements flying around the environment. So that's what we're going to explore in the next couple of clips. So let's take a look at that right now.